Okay, so this Tim Westwood thing now, I was trying to get a link to watch it, so I haven't even watched the follow-up documentary to the first one because I refused to sign into the BBC iPlayer, and they try to come charge me TV fee. So I said, I forget that. So instead, I just watched other people who spoke about it. But we know what's going on, so we'll read it in a sec. But no, but did you take a look?
No, on Pardon South and Pardon Siblings, I did not. There's not enough hours in the day, and I didn't have an opportunity to peep it. But I will indeed over this, Shabbat and then first day of the week, Sunday. I will definitely take it in. But from what we know, and from what is put out there, there's enough information for us to break it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. Because the reason why I believe, even though we ain't watched it, before we get into it, even though we ain't watched the documentary, Westwood is my era. So yes. I know a lot about Westwood in the West Midlands.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? We've spoken about it before, Noble.
Numerous times.
But we're going to get back into it today. So when Westwood was a man, people, let's get into it because there's a lot of young people on this as well. Westwood was a man that if you booked him in the West Midlands, people, I'm talking between 99 and 2010, them years there, if Westwood came to Brum, it was ram packed.
Hey, Mark, I would say pre-99.
But that's when I've been active, though, innit?
Seen.
Yeah,
okay.
So you see, because you was around before then, you'll know more. But I'm talking about Westwood used to come to Brum the first Saturday of every month. Ram roadblock business. So when I'm talking about this, I know what I'm talking about. Let me say one more thing before we get into it. The first time I ever went out, I'm going to tell you the facts. So me and my brethren Vaughan, we were in school, Noble. And you know what we did? On a Saturday, we snuck out our house. We got dressed and everything. We snuck out the house. We rode our bikes from Erdington to town, chained up our bikes, went into the club, no ID, nothing. We're like 15.
Yeah, man, come on.
And we've gone into this. Now, before we get into it, so I remember I was in the queue and this girl was like, yo, who's wearing that cheap perfume? Because I drenched myself in my mom's perfume. So I never knew nothing. We were wearing like our tracksuit bottoms from football. Ooh. I'm pretty sure Vaughan had on AstroTurfs. We didn't even. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And we've got in there and we in this dance. So the reason I'm saying that, people, is to make you know, man, have been around this thing for years. So we're going to get into this thing. The BBC has issued an apology following an external inquiry that revealed multiple missed opportunities to address bullying and misogynic behavior by former Radio 1 DJ Tim Westwood. The investigation, costing 3.3 million, found that despite some awareness of concerns, the BBC failed to identify a pattern of behavior that posed potential risk to young women and girls during Westwood's 19-year tenure. Westwood has denied all allegations of misconduct. So, the BBC, Noble, have pumped 3.3 million into this, and they said they missed a lot of opportunities. Westwood, yeah, we got to keep this thing 1,000, yeah. The BBC, that report or whatever it is that they are saying is nonsense, okay? Let's just say it like that. They're only talking now because of the backlash that they're receiving. They didn't care when he was bringing in money. Westwood was pushed in our faces as teenagers 24/7. I was one of the few who was saying, why is this elderly white man being pushed into our culture? And people used to argue with me all the time. That's racist. You're hating. How can you say that? My man's talented. I said, no, he's not. He's similar to Ali G. If you ask me, He's like a real life live action version
That's exactly what it
of
is.
Ali G. He's a live action version of Ali G that has been placed within the culture, and it's almost a mockery. I'm gonna keep it real. You're speaking with an American accent, and it was almost a mockery. But
No. Let's just keep the language crystal clear.
Yeah, man.
It was a mockery. It was a mockery. And then let's for game for the siblings. You may have not heard this. The first time I heard about this Tim Westwood person, I heard him, and I was like, "Who's this? This sounds like a white geezer." And they were like, "Yeah, it's a white geezer." I'm like, "So how is he playing?" As you rightly highlighted it. So how is he playing the something? All of the track. How comes Mob Deep, aka Mob Sleep, are coming over here, and all these big people them, and they're going to link my youths? Who is he? And then I see him around the way with the man them, and I'm like, oh, okay. He's just a flipping dude. He's clearly a pedant, because what there's a plethora of original DJs that could have had that place, that could have had that position to usher the Americans and welcome them into the UK. But yet you've got a 6-foot Nephilim giant as the poster boy.
Now, man didn't despise him. D42, man's never despised him because he wouldn't have got that far. BBC put him in place, and when they put him in place, yeah, they forced him upon us in our culture, and what that did is it put him in position to get fame. People, let's discuss this properly today. Let's do this properly. Let's not do this in a mainstream narrative. Let's not do this the way the mainstream would do this. People, black culture in them days in the UK, we were all watching the States.
Yes.
You see what I mean? Now, I was young, so the early days I missed it. But when I came in, that was the only man who had a connection between the UK and the States. So when them man were coming here, they were linking Westwood. They weren't linking no one who looked like them.
No.
All them rappers were coming here. Dipset. I remember he done a video, because I was a big Diplomats guy in them days. And he done a video where Diplomats came and they linked him and they were driving around London. Yes. And I remember saying, yo, there was nobody who looked like them they could have linked. And every time I say these questions, people will be like, you can't say that, you can't say that. Anyway, I say all of that to say the BBC strategically placed Tim Westwood within black culture. Yes. They gave him fame. People, I was there. What comes along with fame? What comes along with putting a man in that type of position to where he was sleeping with girls that were in my sixth form?
Come on.
Now, I'm telling you this now. Them girls, yes, they were young, meaning young minds, but I'm talking about the ones I knew. They was of legal age, but they were sleeping with him because of what he could do for them. Mm-hmm. So he's a man, I've said it millions of times, when Jarul was hot, like the hottest thing between me and you days.
Yeah, man.
If he was coming to the UK, one of the only ways people could get that link is through Tim Westwood. So what did Westwood do? He abused his position. He was sleeping with girls, yeah? Some of the hottest girls in the Midlands. Some of the hottest. And he was able to do that because the BBC put him in position.
Yes.
Now, all these years later, we're coming out and saying, he done this, he done that. He took advantage of the position that he was in. He took advantage of young girls who were fans of American culture. And that's what happened. That's what happened. Take away the DJ, take away the money. Them girls ain't touching him. I remember even looking at this one black girl from Erdington and saying, you really mean to tell me you lie down with that? And she's like, yo, yeah, I'm just using my man. You're hating on me. I'm just getting my money. I've said it many times. And I'm like, with a big man like that. Now, that was because he was put in position by the BBC, and he was the only man who was carrying the influence, who was carrying the connection. There was one time he was even on MTV and all that. He had his own show. Then, when UK rap, remember, for ages, UK rappers, they were begging him, bring us on, begging him. My man ignored them completely. He brought on the odd man now and again. But then when the explosion of UK started to happen, he started to dominate at the start. Don't you remember crib sessions and all of that? All them black youths in his yard. Like, you telling me that didn't look crazy?
with clouds of smoke, sibling,
Yeah.
blazing that cheeseola, with the stacks of records all around. Yo, this is Tim Westwood, baby. I got the hardest mans from North London, North Wheezy, in the building. And then the 25 youths then with Massa and shit. Huh? Look, it's listen. I'm disgusted. I'm absolutely disgusted. Number one, because they didn't force it. We didn't have to tape the radio songs and then flipping pass them on to our friends. We didn't need to go line up and go to his dances, but we did. We allowed this thing. The artists. I'm going back. I'm going straight to accountability here. The artists didn't say, yeah, nah. There's other man's doing a thing. Let's bless them with the first freestyle thing. Let's bless them with the thing. Then we can go to Westwood because he can then push us out to the maid. That's how it should have been. But everyone was like, nah. Let's run down Tim Westwood, even though in the industry, everybody knew what was going on, saw what was going on, and said, nah, Edward, look, they're getting their thing. I'm trying to get mine. It's this island-like mentality which has fostered all of this dysfunction.
Facts. I want to give an example, Noble, just before you continue. So people, just before we continue with this, imagine a world where Indians had created hip-hop instead of black people. Let's just look at an alternative timeline. Indians controlled hip-hop instead of black people. So Indians, they have all the major rappers, and hip-hop lives in India. Now, the Indian community in the UK are fans of that culture in India. And when these Indian artists and everything come over, they're linking a white guy. No, but I'm asking you, would that happen?
Never in a month of Sunday.
So how did that happen in our world? Remember, this was a guy who was dressing like our brothers in the States, wearing 5-type X t-shirts and Avrexes and baggy jeans, driving cars, them Escalades from the States.
Escalades, come on.
Speaking in the tongue. Remember, people, if you're from the Caribbean, more than likely you got family in the States.
Come on.
Because remember, we all didn't just leave and come England.
New York,
I got people
Miami.
who went New York. I got people who went Miami as well. That came from the same roots but live in the States.
Come on.
So that means we're close to the culture. Westwood was mimicking that culture. And think about it, people. He was the face or the portal of the UK for the best part of a decade.
Yes.
And with that came perks. I understand he abused his position. But the BBC are coming out now and saying, "Oh, we're sorry." They put him in that position. They made sure he was in that position. You know how much black brother Westwood ain't a good DJ. Westwood's not a good DJ. Like, let's not pretend. Like, let's stop pretending.
Could he scratch mark?
I mean, he had some skill in that department. But I'm not from the scratch. You'd have to ask man like Mantis and that.
No,
do you know about that kind of stuff? Because I weren't into that style
He weren't doing none of that stuff.
No,
he
okay.
wasn't a DJ. Yeah, he was a selector. He put on tracks. That's what he did. He just played music. Yeah, that's all he did. He wasn't no damn DJ. Giving someone the title of DJ, disc jockey, especially in that genre. I mean, you could be a disc jockey in the pop genre. All you're doing is selecting music.
BBC gave him that position, Noble. BBC made sure that he was the face of a black-owned situation. They made him the face of that. And along with that, he was able to travel up and down the UK, and he had his pick of the bunch. And I'm telling you straight, he got his pick of the bunch because people wanted to meet and greet the famous.
Come on.
Westwood was a gateway to that. So I don't know about I'm talking about what I seen. I was there. When it comes to bro, I was there. I seen some of the most beautiful girls in the Midlands. I'm talking about, you couldn't even have spoke to them.
I know.
And they were laying down with my man. So don't come back now 20 years later talking about, oh, he took advantage because tell BBC, come interview me. Come put me on a documentary. I'll take you to the actual place where I told these girls, what are you doing? When I told them They said I'm hating. They said I'm hating because they're getting their bread. I remember these girls used to be in VIP sections and all of that. He took advantage. But you know what? The BBC enabled him. They're enablers. So don't come back now. They enabled him. Now, am I saying that I believe he held down and forcefully raped girl? I don't know. Am I saying that did he sleep with underage girls? I don't know. But what I am saying for a fact, people, and anyone can challenge me, is I seen how this man was able to select certain women and sleep with them. And he was able to do it because he was a star in these days. Remember, people, forget about the world we're living in now. In them days, he was a star. He was a star. He was the only man who was linking them artists. He was the only man.
He was the gate. He was literally the gateway between our culture.
That's crazy, and no one was saying nothing, but it shows you everything you need to know about black people in Britain. Everything. Imagine that a man's coming from Jamaica, Queens. A man's coming from Jamaica, Queens, coming to the UK, and he's like, yo, I've made it out in this music thing. I'm gonna go to the UK, and when you get here, you're not even linking a man who looks like you. You're linking an Ali G. And he was able to have his way. He would have never slept with none of them girls. He wouldn't even be able to talk to them girls. Truth be told, if BBC didn't put him in that position, he wouldn't even be able to chat to them girls. He was only able to do that because they made him a star. They made him a star and they put him in position, and they didn't take him away from that position until they had someone who could replace him, which was Charlie Sloth. You don't ever see no black you getting the promotion or running the thing. That's his birthright to her. It's your birthright to be able to listen. If you go to all right, I'll give you an example. When I went Cuba and I went down there and you got a China man selling Chinese culture, an Indian man selling Indian culture. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that's their birthright. That's their birthright. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Westwood, BBC made sure he controlled the genre. You mean to tell me that in the whole of the UK, there weren't a black brother that could have been the face of hip hop? Who was tapped in or who knew everything about it? In them days, they made him, they enabled him, and he slept with all these girls because this was the start of us losing integrity. I remember there's one particular girl, if I ever see her, I'm going to tell her, yo, you should come on my show. And she was giving it up, Noble. Yeah. She was only young though, but she was legal. And she was linking Westwood for time. And it's only true, one of my personal brethren, he would be vexed if I was to say who he is, but he worked with Westwood. He worked with him and he's seen things, and even him is a man, young, fly, had all the skills in the game, but Westwood was the one who was able to enjoy because he had the name, he had the status, and who gave him that? BBC. He weren't the best. Imagine a man pretending. Yeah, baby. This is for the big dogs.
Yeah.
This is for the big dogs, baby. I'm like, what?
Get the fuck out of here, man.
Come on.
Please.
What kind of things that?
Please, get the fuck out of here, man.
But then when them mans were rapping in American accents, no one wanted to hear it.
Come on.
I weren't with that either, but think about it. Look how unapologetic mans were towards mans that were rapping in American accents.
Yes.
But Westwood was in your face talking like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the big dog, Tim Westwood, baby. I'm like, what? You lot have made this clown famous, who's the face of the thing. The face. And then I remember when gigs first come out, all them mans went through Westwood. And why? Because that was the only place.
Yes.
That was the only place. And yes, he took advantage. He took advantage. He did. He took advantage of the position that he was in. Okay.
And let's talk about that. The stage was set. You've mentioned it multiple times, Mark. The British Broadcasting Corporation. Now, we could say, if we was to logically examine this corporation, which we have to pay money in the form of the TV license. So we're not talking about a private corporation. where we choose to pay to utilize their services. There is a history, Mark, a long, long history. Let's talk about one DJ in specific. So we spoke about Westwood. What about DJ Liz Kershaw?
I don't even know who that is.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a flipping the geezer. Now this is old school. This is only for the old school. I can't even remember what the tally's name was. Big fat geezer, round face. He had glasses. He was on BBC for Time. He was messing around from the 60s and 70s with roller skating rings that was big in England back in the day. Indigenous folk, I'm talking. Indigenous folk. He was the DJ for that. And there was all kind of things. The police was involved. Oh, no, but because he's the famous DJ, he's the local famous DJ. And we'll just do. And then eventually this demon gets caught. Big fat swarty demon. People have done exposés on him now. He's free walking the streets. But a shamed BBC presenter. Everyone knows about Jimmy Savile and his effery that was going in, and it goes past the BBC because wasn't he a sir? Huh? Wasn't it Sir?
Protected?
Jimmy?
Protected?
Huh? Directly from the monarchy that we're talking? Huh? Oh no, they didn't know, Noble and Mark. No, they didn't know. They didn't know what was going on. Because they trust him so much, they allowed Sir Jimmy Savile to be the intermediary between Prince Charles and Diana before her death. That's how close they trusted this. My man had keys to hospitals and mortuaries. A man could just bowl up to the palaces and all this thing, go straight through security. Huh?
They knew what they were doing. No, but let's say it as it is. The BBC, they're only trying to show face. They knew what they were doing. BBC enabled him. I can't come in here and just blame him. They put him in position. It's like getting a thief to work at a bank cashier's desk. Like it's going to be problems.
No. Well, unless the only way. This is the thing. I'm glad you gave that analogy.
Yeah, man.
Because how would that take place? A thief who has a criminal conviction for theft, robbery, all that kind of stuff, commercial burglary, all them things, they go to apply to work at the TSB bank. And they say, yeah, Steve, yeah, man, everything's blessed. Yeah, man, you got the thing, blah, blah, blah. You got an A in maths, okay. And they say, okay, if you passed the first stage, we got to just do the enhanced crit. So, man, oh, unfortunately, you didn't tell us that you did 3 years for robbery. See, because you're handling money, you ain't got the job. What am I highlighting here? A process and a procedure to what?
Pre-checks.
Pre-checks to protect the banking corporation, the business, right? So we got a business in the form of the BBC, who Stuart Hall, ex-BBC broadcaster, got sentenced to 30 months for assaulting a 13-year-old girl and was found guilty for this. Yeah, who even remembers who Stuart Hall is?
That's what I'm saying. They cover things up. Savile, that they cover things up. They knew Westwood was doing all of that. They knew, but at the time there was no Me Too or nothing.
None.
You couldn't do that now, but in them days he was able to use his position because people knew, I might have to give a man little 20 to get where I need to go to meet this person or meet that person, and he abused it. But the BBC put him in position. He was making money, and I'm saying this is what happens. What they've done to all these black Brits is they've made them simmer down, and you can't say nothing, otherwise you're seen as some angry pro-black guy. If you say, what was that brother doing representing hip-hop in the UK anyway?